Hello everybody, it's Conor. Welcome back to One Leeds here. We have a lot to discuss today. Please make sure you are checking out the Patreon. Make sure you're a YouTube member. If you don't want to check out the Patreon, no problem. A very reasonable price. Please check out SofaScore as well. Links in the description. All the preview, the analysis is there for tonight's game. You get a few bonus bits as well with the One Leeds affiliate link. Links in the description below. As I've said, it is free, everybody. Why would you not do it? Better than a live score, quicker than the BBC updating service. Make sure you do so. And way better than Flash Score, if I say so myself. Check out SofaScore, link in the description below. And that's it, everybody. Yeah, make sure you're liking, commenting, subscribing, sharing to all your friends as well. Can't wait to see a lot of you at the Huddersfield game. I'm sure I'll see a lot of you at the Stoke City game, where I will be venturing over the next couple of Leeds United games. I'm very, very excited. Unfortunately, Chelsea is a little bit beyond my grasp. Landon 10. We're going to be speaking about that in this video. We're also going to be speaking about the 49ers plan going to the Premier League, the rumoured plan going to the Premier League. And we're going to be speaking about Leeds United's biggest threat. So for me, everybody, I'll be brutally honest with you guys, and that's what I try to do on the channel as well when we're talking about these things. I wanted to discuss this morning Leeds United's biggest threat. I wanted to discuss the problematic scenario I see with one team which could cause a massive threat to our Leeds United Premier League campaign. I wanted to get this in beforehand as well, because I want to sort of start this video off with maybe a little bit of a not a negative as such, but maybe a little bit of pessimism and cynicism when it comes to our promotion campaign, and then fill it at the end with the transfer budget and what we can do and what we can't do and all this sort of good stuff which has been rumoured. But today I wanted to speak about Leeds United's biggest threat. And the reason I wanted to mention this as well is because the irony of all of this is Leeds have peppered them, in my opinion, twice. You know, they had a bit of a spell of 30, 40 minutes where they controlled the game. But aside from that, Leeds have been the dominant team in both fixtures, and that is Ipswich Town. Now, why are you saying this, Conor? Well, they're on the same amount of points as us, and I was having a chat with a couple of mates last night, and we all sort of came to the same verdict. And the online verdict seems to be very, very different to those that you speak to in maybe pubs and all this sort of stuff. I've spoken to a few Leeds fans off air as well, not just mates, but people in the community and stuff. And Ipswich seem to be a constant problem here, and we're all focusing as a club, as a fan base, on Southampton, weren't we? Now, we are 5 points clear. That is not over. I still believe Southampton are going to come back into it. I think they're strong enough. They've got the calibre, as Russell Martin has said, even though he does seem to be experiencing some head loss at the minute, which is quite amusing. But the team that has always been there from day one, really, when they on the first day of the season, they beat Sunderland away, which was a bit of a shock, has been Ipswich. And they've not really faltered once. You've seen Leeds obviously recover to get into this position, which is a story in itself. You've seen Southampton recover as well and be in that position. But Ipswich have always maintained really a top four position, which is a massive credit to them and a massive credit to what McKenna's done. But I think the slight worrying aspect of Ipswich is, you know, if Leicester were in sort of our grasp and all this sort of stuff, you'd be thinking, oh, brilliant. I mean, 6 points is still a big feat to recover. But the beauty of last night, them beating Bournemouth, is I believe that's them into the last 8 now. And that is a different focus now. You know, they've come back, they've beaten Bournemouth, a brilliant Fatawu goal. But that's going to add extra games to their calendar. Leeds, if they were to lose tonight, lose those games in terms of the additional games that Leicester would have, which is going to test their squad depth. That could work in our favour when it comes to catching Leicester. I think the interesting thing with Ipswich is obviously they were knocked out by Maidstone. Their games are dramatically reduced, and they've had a bit of a run, haven't they, the last sort of 4 games, and obviously Leeds are doing so well at this moment in time. But I think the parallels are with what Ipswich did in League One. They had a bit of a drop-off, but they carried on scoring a lot of goals. They scored a ridiculous amount of goals in League One. They're scoring a ridiculous amount of goals in the Championship, as we know. They're conceding more in the Championship to what they did in League One. League One, they were an absolute fortress, you know, keeping clean sheets to Derby and Co. and absolutely hammering Exeter on the second to last day, 6-0. But if you look at Ipswich's calendar, it was clean sheet, clean sheet, clean sheet, clean sheet. And that's the difference right now. They are conceding goals, but they're still winning. And they're still on the same amount of points as Leeds. And Daniel Farke's Norwich side proved in 18-19 that you can concede goals, a lot of goals, of which that team conceded 57 and go up. So I think that's going to be the interesting parallel now. I think they are Leeds' biggest threat at this moment in time. I did sort of believe with a lot of people that they would fall off. And I did think, when they'd won one game in 9, that they were experiencing that, but they've recovered really well. They've had that blip and they seem to be on a little bit of an assault now, like Leeds United are. And I don't know where that's going to drop. And that's why we have to be absolutely perfect. We know that. That's why the Chelsea game tonight throws up so many questions. Should Leeds take it seriously? What calibre player should we be putting out? Can Rodon realistically play? Can Ampadu realistically play when we don't have the quality calibre profile to replace them if the worst case scenario happened and one of them or both of them were to get injured? And I think that's the problem at this moment with this FA Cup focus. You want Leeds to be playing less games and more focusing on the Championship. Now, I do think Ipswich right now, when things change in football, everybody, I might have said something a month ago and then I might have said something 3 months ago. Believe it or not, the I Told You So merchants who are all over this YouTube site, form changes. The table changes. Players are brought in January, things do change. And at this moment in time, Ipswich's fortunes have changed. Now, if you do look at the forward planning of them, they're playing one side in the top 6. One side, and that's Hull City. 2 sides, I should say, Southampton are in there as well. Plymouth, Bristol City, Cardiff, Sheffield Wednesday, Blackburn Rovers, all coming up in the next 5. The toughest period, I would say, would be sort of Southampton and Norwich. That little bit. Coventry away might be difficult as well. But I do look at that calendar, and I think it is, and we've all spoken about this on the channel, that their running is the more favourable of the rest. So Ipswich have proven that they can just win and win and win and win and win. They had that blip, didn't they? But aside from that, it's sandwiched either side with wins. So I think right now they are our biggest threat. And yeah, form has changed that. And I do wonder how Russell Martin, with the head loss that he is currently experiencing, not shaking players' hands, biting when it comes to media questions, having a sort of like a little bit of a pop at the other teams. I do wonder how he's experienced it, how his experience is going to sort of hurt that side. When you look at McKenna's got time with this team that he's with now. He's got promotion, and I do wonder if that's going to play a factor, but they don't seem to be dying off one bit. So I do think at this moment in time, right here, right now, and it all could change, but I think Ipswich are a massive, massive threat to Leeds United and our promotion credentials. So let me know what you guys think. Is it Ipswich for you? Do you think I'm being unrealistic? Do you think the amount of goals that they concede is going to be a problem? But it's fascinating going into the latter part of the season. Okay, so let's move on a little bit, everybody, to the transfer war chest. Now, it's been rumoured by multiple publications this morning that Leeds United, when we get back to the Premier League, will have £100 million to spend. Now, obviously, that's going to be a real outlay when it comes to bringing players in. I think when Marsh had that season when he brought in Sinistera, Koch, Christensen and co, he had about 100 million, 110 million, but obviously that was aided by player sales as well. It looks like whatever the outcome, Leeds are going to be given that money, which is great if we are to get to the Premier League once again. And I think that'd be really good, because I think Leeds would be able to bring in some quality players. You're probably looking at 15, 20, 25 million pound players as well. I still think Leeds need a lot of bodies, and I think Leeds are going to have to invest in the summer, but then invest in the winter window as well, because in my opinion, even in this first team, I think you're probably looking at 4 or 5 bodies that need to come in for Leeds to stay in the division. I genuinely believe that. I think you saw a Premier League calibre game the other night, which was so interesting, but I still think in those transitional moments against quality teams who are going to be, quality Premier League sides. We saw another game last night where Leicester played Bournemouth and it literally was a ding-dong. It felt like a Premier League ding-dong. So Leeds United being in that picture is going to be so interesting, and I wonder how that's going to fare. But yeah, I'm 100 million quid, the 49ers behind us. I thoroughly believe that we can do some damage. But yeah, there's so many profiles where Leeds need to add. I mean, Joe Rodon is another one. Would he be involved in that 100 million? Because we need to spend 15 million on him. Conor Roberts, would he come into that picture? All these little bits. It's not just about 100 million quid on transfers as well as Roberts and as well as Rodon. It's going to have to be, do we, you're going to have to encompass those 2 transfers in that as well. So it's going to be fascinating to see if Leeds do actually press the button on Rodon and someone like Conor Roberts. Fascinating discussion there. And yeah, guys, it looks like with Everton's issue, obviously they've managed to get their 10-point sort of deduction, which was obviously for breaching, the financial fair play aspect. It looks like now that has been reduced to 6 points, which now begs the question: do Leeds, do Burnley, do Leicester all press charges? Because it sort of goes against the Premier League, in my opinion. Because why have they given Everton 10 points if they're then able to reduce that point tally to 6? It doesn't really make a lot of sense. And if I'm Leeds United right now, I am contesting that because it doesn't really give a lot of validity to the original reason as to why they were given a 10-point deduction. And this is not any slight on Everton. It's more on the Premier League, which I know the Premier League have been going at Everton for being such... the Everton have been going at the Premier League for just being completely incompetent as it is. The Man City charges are going to be so interesting. I think they're facing about 115, which we're still waiting to see when that's going to come out. Nottingham Forest as well. We don't know what the situation's going to be there, but obviously Everton are facing a further charge, I believe, which could see them deduct points, but the original charge, which has now been reduced to 6 points, Leeds are well within their rights to appeal that again, and fresh charge with a Burnley and a Leicester. So it'll be fascinating to see what happens there. Chelsea tonight, everyone. I'm really excited. I am really excited. I know what I've said at the start when it comes to Ipswich and all this sort of stuff, but I am really interested to see how this one's going to develop tonight. I wouldn't mind as such if we were to go out of this division. I just think the champ of this competition, I just think the championship is so much more important this season, and I do not want injuries. Yeah, I'm excited for tonight. I'm excited for what Leeds United can do, but I'm a little bit nervy that I do agree with what Oscar was saying last night. I don't think Farke will make many changes, and I think that is a little bit of a mistake for me. And do you want to go through to the last day? Of course, it's a cup competition you want to go through, but I think I am just a little bit nervy. Leeds are at the home stretch now. Injuries are probably going to play a little bit of a factor. Touch wood, it doesn't happen to some of our key players, but we know injuries are going to play a factor with the amount of games Leeds are playing. Would you rather be in an Ipswich scenario where it is just pure focus on the championship? I think I would. Guys, let me know what you think in the comment section below. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Fascinated to hear what you think tonight. We're going to be back tonight with more analysis on the game, the Chelsea game. Make sure you check it out. Guys, head on over to the Patreon if you want some bonus content. If you want to become a YouTube member, you can do. It's been an absolute pleasure. I'll see you in a bit.